What makes you feel alive? I'll tell you what. It's when I respond to someone's comment that they left in a video. It connects us. We're part of the brotherhood of the hair loss. And it's important that we are able to share with each other and be honest and vulnerable with each other, just as our friend has done in this video. David Levita had left a comment on my channel trailer, which is called Hair Loss Hurting Your Confidence, Maybe I Can Help. David says this, quote, "Thanks, Nick. You are the best. Getting married in 6 months, and I don't think the hair is gonna make it. Your videos are the only thing that make me smile," end quote. So I want to address this. And it's funny because I got this comment and then within like 24 hours, someone private messaged me and basically said the same thing. In a few months they're getting married, don't know that their hair is gonna make it, and this is really bothering them. So I think it's important that I make this video because I think there's probably lots of guys in this situation where, you know, you're months away from your wedding, and here you are thinking, oh man, I'm supposed to look my best on this day. How can I when I'm going bald? Well, that's what this video is for. This is my take at trying to help. All right. So allow me to go back into a time machine because if I were to travel a decade ago into time, so if we were like in March 2008, where would I be? Well, my hair situation wasn't much different than it is now as far as my actual hairline. It really wasn't much different. But a decade ago, I was engaged to be married on July 5th, 2008, which did take place, which means in modern day, I'm a couple months away from my 10th wedding anniversary. So I've been married nearly 10 years, which means 10 years ago, I was an engaged man. I was not engaged very long, by the way. My wife and I dated for a little over a year. I proposed, we were engaged for 6 months, and then we got married. Now granted, and then we had our first child about a little less than 2 years later, okay? But it happened quick, and I knew that she was the one. And once I knew that, because for me, one of my standards was, whoever I marry, I need to date them for a solid year. And after that solid year, if everything's still looking good, then I can commit. So that was for me. And so we weren't even engaged long. We were engaged from January, like mid-January until the beginning of July, and that was it. I was not engaged very long. And I did not have to have worries about my hair. I mean, I had the Norwood 2 going on, but the only thing I had to worry about with my hair is my wife likes short hair. She doesn't like long hair. She doesn't like hair over ears. She doesn't like bangs kind of stuff. So she wanted me to get a haircut, and I did. I got it like 1.5 inches on top and then like a number 2 on the sides and the back. Like I got my hair cut for our wedding, and that's all she cared about. So I didn't have to worry about going bald. But let's really look at the psychology here. I want to be encouraging for anyone in this situation. So think about this. If you're worried that you're gonna, be too bald to be a good looking groom on your wedding day, here's my advice. My advice is this. Start with this first obvious Nick Shellism, and that is, would you want to just buzz off your hair and maybe even have a beard? Would you want that in your heart? If you could, would you want to? And if the answer is yes, talk to your fiance about that. Say, you know what? Do you care if I just shave my head and have a beard? Would that be cool? Or I'd feel better that way. How do you feel about it? If she says no, okay, so be it. Find out what kind of haircut she wants you to have on your wedding day and do it. See, because that's the thing. The good news about your wedding is, and I say this with all due respect, I say this as a confident, happily married man of nearly a decade, the wedding isn't about you anyway. It's only about her. And all the wedding is about you praising her for how beautiful she is, for how beautiful is she when she comes down the aisle in the dress. All the wedding is about, it's about you telling her how beautiful she is. That's all it's about. Granted, it's this whole ceremony and facade to, because granted, if as far as being married, it's whatever the paperwork you sign, right? Whatever, I guess, is in the eyes of the government, what you sign on that paper, and now you're married, a legal contract or whatever, that makes you married. The thing that happens in the church before you and God and everybody, like, that's just the ceremony anyway. So during that ceremony, one of your first roles as the husband is to simply say, internally think, I am no one. I am nothing. I'm just the groom. Today is all about that woman that I'm marrying. It's all about her. It's all about how beautiful she is. So the good news is, and I mean this with all respect and love to you, my brother, no one's looking at you on your wedding day. No one cares what you look like. As long as you're in your suit and you look like your wife wants you to look like, you can't look any better. Let me say that again. As long as you look nice in your suit, you got your suit on, you don't come there wearing Chuck Taylors and old blue jeans and a Van Halen t-shirt, right? You wear the suit that you're supposed to wear, that your wife wants you to wear, and you say, look, how do you want me to look? How do you want my hair to be? I'm thinking about buzzing it off and growing a beard. Do you think I can get away with that? Or do you want me to look this other way? Find out what she thinks. Whatever she thinks looks the best, you just go along with it. Even on your wedding day, I'd say, just doesn't matter. No one's looking at you. They're only looking at her. And this is one of your first assignments as an instantly married man, is to prove to her that you know that it's not about you. You are here to simply support her, and it's all a show about how beautiful she is. That's the only thing that you have to worry about. You have to make sure that she feels calm. She's going to get really nervous and anxious on that day and the weeks leading up to it. Your role is to take the back seat, put your arm around her, comfort her, assure her that you're there for her, that you love her, that you'll figure it out, all that stuff. And what you learn in that whole process is, almost 10 years into it, that's your role as a husband anyway. It's really not about you at all. You're there to support. You're there to provide. You are the strength. You're the voice of reason. And that's your role. Your wife is not marrying you for your looks. Did you know that? And I know this can be a little bit hypocritical because as men, we're wired to see beauty first. My wife is beautiful. She is an exceptionally beautiful woman. And when I met her in that crowded room, that's the first thing I noticed. But she didn't even see me as an attractive guy until like 3.5 or 4 months into knowing me. And it was only when I expressed to her that I found her attractive that she even thought of me as that way. I'm not saying all women are that way, but I'm saying men, it's our job to notice what is beautiful and to praise that and acknowledge it. It's not our job to be good looking. It's our job to be funny, to be supportive, to be a leader, to be psychologically in charge of the situation, to be that rock that she needs. So I know I'm talking a lot of stuff that doesn't really seem to be about, oh no, what if I'm bald by my wedding day? But that's the point. The point of this whole video is that whether or not you have hair on your wedding day doesn't matter. Selfishly for you, if you can get away with buzzing off your hair and maybe having some stubble and she's cool with that, then I think that's the best version of your wedding day that you're going to have, because you're going to feel confident, you're going to feel rebranded and have a new identity for yourself as a new groom, is what I would think. But that's only if your wife is cool with it, your fiance is cool with it. She might not be. And if not, it's just about your wife anyway. That's all it's about. See, let yourself off the hook. As a man who has found someone who's willing to spend the rest of her life with you, and you have found someone that you can trust, because that's something I've learned about what inspires men to marry women to begin with. I recently watched the 1995 movie Casino with with Robert De Niro, and it almost feels like a spin-off of Goodfellas, which it's hard for me to know. Is Goodfellas better than Casino? They're just so good. They're so good at movies, and they're very similar, but they're so good. And in that movie, it's funny because in that movie, and in Goodfellas and Godfather Part 1 and 2, you see this theme that a man who is in control, who's doing all this stuff, has to find a woman he can trust for the rest of his life. Okay? So if you're engaged, my assumption about you is that you have met a woman that you trust to spend the rest of your life with. See, you're marrying each other for different reasons. Now, generically, in a Hallmark card version, I love you, I can't live without you, right? That's what we generically believe. But in reality, that's not why we marry each other. Men want to see a beautiful woman who respects them, who they can trust. That's what men want. What do women want out of marriage? They want someone who's going to psychologically support them, financially provide for them, be committed to them on a daily basis, feeling connected with them, and then as they have kids, being the best involved father you can possibly be, because I would argue, as a daddy blogger, familyfriendlyDaddyblog.com, you can't be a good husband without being a good father. And I'm talking about if you're still married. I'm not talking about divorced people. I'm not talking about divorced dads. I'm talking about that's how important these things are. You don't know these things necessarily before you get married. But coming from a nearly 10-year veteran, I understand what causes men and women to actually marry each other. And it's easy to look at the artificial, superficial, I'm in love, or the physical attraction part of it. But that's all secondary or even beyond that as far as these core things I'm talking about. The good news, if you're engaged to be married and balding, the good news is your fiance doesn't care. The good news is no one's going to be looking at you. And your whole role is to prove to her how beautiful she is and how happy you are to marry her and how lucky you are that she chose you. Those are the only things that matter. How you look on your wedding day, no one's going to be looking at you. You're standing right next to her, they're not looking at you. They're not going to remember what you look like. So, find out how your wife wants you to look on your wedding day, and that's how you're going to look. And that's the last you're going to think about it. Because you found a woman that you trust enough to spend the rest of your life with. You found a woman who's beautiful enough that you want to spend the rest of your life with. And you have assumed this new role of being psychologically supportive of this woman who doesn't care about your hair. She cares about you supporting her for the rest of her life psychologically. That is the good news, my friend.